Hello, I'm going to call the meeting to order of the City of Dana Point Traffic Improvement Subcommittee. Well, first, to let everybody know, this meeting is being recorded, audio only, so just to let you know. So the first item, I guess, is a roll call. So I'm Chair Jennifer Rosales here. Bob Elders. Here. Jeff Howell. Here. Jeff Peterson. Here. And Luke Brogdon. Here. I don't know if I said your name. All right, next is Pledge of Allegiance. So if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I'll begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me, Ms. Chair. I just want to put for the record, since this is audio only, for the record, all members of the Traffic Improvement Subcommittee are present. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so in terms of public comments, any person wishing to address the subcommittee during the public comment section or on an agenda item is asked to complete one of the request to speak cards. So if you would like to speak on a particular agenda item or just in general on public comments, then please fill out one of the forms and submit it. Okay. Next item is the consent calendar. Item 1 is approval of action minutes from the December 15th, 2021 Traffic Improvement Subcommittee meeting. I request a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second. Are there any comments on the minutes? Okay, then I'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
I'm going to do a roll call vote because there were several members who were not at the meeting last time.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Member Bowen. Okay. Member Elders. Either vote yes, no, or abstain for approving the minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Member Howell.
Yes.
Member Pedersen.
Abstain.
Chair Rosales.
Yes.
This motion passes by a vote of 3-0-2 with members Bowen and Pedersen abstaining. Thank you.
Great. All right, the next item on the agenda is new business item 2, proposed striping modifications on Niguel Road. I'd like to ask staff to present their report.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Subcommittee, good to see you again. It's been a little while since we met. Glad to see you in person. Thanks for those in the audience that are attending as well. I'm going to walk you through a PowerPoint presentation on the proposed change to Niguel Road at Monarch Beach Drive, the section northbound only from Monarch Beach Drive to Camino del Avion. We can get the next slide. So I think everybody in this room recognizes that that's the way it looks right now on Niguel Road, which is basically 3 lanes divided. There's a median in the middle with a bike lane against the curb. Go to the next one. Just another photo closer to the shopping center at the corner of Camino del Avion and Niguel Road, showing the configuration that exists today. Go ahead, Jamie. So back in 2017, the city worked collaboratively with this subcommittee and OCTA and a bunch of other stakeholders to make a pretty significant change on Niguel Road. I'm happy to report that the change has been working really well over the course of the last 4 to 5 years. Basically what that change is to put the roadway that was, previous slide showed you it was 3 lanes with a bike lane against the curb, to put it into the configuration you see on the screen, which is the ability to put parking against the curb, a bike lane off the curb, adjacent to what could be parking, and a striped kind of separation area between traffic, and then 2 lanes of traffic. OCTA and the city work under a series of guidelines to establish what these look like. And OCTA at the time confirmed that this roadway, based on the volume, traffic volume out there is about 14 to 15,000 cars daily, that you don't need 3 lanes of traffic to accommodate, 3 lanes of travel to accommodate the traffic. Things can work perfectly well at an A level, basically, with 2 lanes and the configuration that's there. So we've seen that over time. The change really didn't result in any congestion out there. So at this point, we can go to the next slide. We're looking to carry that cross-section forward. And back in 2017, the city did have approval from OCTA to do this in this section, but we chose at the time to keep the 3 lanes just to make sure we didn't have capacity problems at the intersection. Looking back at it, we probably really didn't need to do that based on the volume. And we've confirmed that in recent days with counts that have confirmed the roadway has 14,000 cars on it roughly a day. So remember, we don't have, as long as we stay below 20,000, this roadway should operate with 2 lanes easily. So the configuration is basically to put, I don't know if you want to back up, Jamie, to that slide that shows the photo. It's easier to see, right, for those that don't understand what that striping plan means. Basically, you're looking to do something like this in the section between Monarch Beach Drive and Del Avion. When you get to Del Avion, we obviously will stop the parking, the ability to park cars short of Del Avion to let cars safely merge out of traffic and make a right turn. Maybe you can jump back to the striping plan, Jamie. The next slide would be good. You kind of see it here. I'll step up here. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, that works. Okay, so kind of right here, you can see traffic would be in this lane and then could merge over and make this right turn, because there was some concern from the community about safely being able to make a right turn at the intersection. But all in all, from a technical basis, our traffic engineer, Shane Green's in the audience today. We've studied this. We don't see any reason why the roadway couldn't be striped in that fashion to accommodate parking in this stretch. I would tell you that with our trolley program and this busy shopping center at Del Avion and Niguel Road having issues with parking, this parking idea seems to have some merit. So just for the subcommittee's benefit, before I get to the last slide and talk about the suggested actions today, I wanted to also emphasize that the shopping center manager and tenants have been working on a series of other things in addition to this to deal with the parking problem at the shopping center. One of them is to get a parking consultant to study maybe a valet option, looking at a variety of options there. They also are going to be putting in some employee parking behind the urgent care off of Camino del Avion to add about 20 parking spaces there. So all in, everyone's trying to work collaboratively to solve what appears to be a parking problem in the shopping center. In addition, the city's trolley program runs right through there, and last season we had a series of people parking in the shopping center, exacerbating the condition and just taking the trolley to the beach. We know that happened a few times, so you'll see signs in the shopping center now that say no beach parking. Sorry our trolley's so popular, it just causes a little bit of a problem. But so in summary of why we're here today is we've identified an issue of parking in the area for not only trolley users, for the shopping center, which in reality, if you look at the uses on paper, and planning's done this, they have a surplus of parking of 12 parking spaces. Anybody that goes to that shopping center during the day or in an evening realizes that it doesn't feel like there's 12 extra parking spots there. Again, add the other uses with the trolley, the bikers that want to go to the beach and all those things. I think this area just needs a little help with parking. And again, from a technical perspective, we can't figure out any issues with restriping the roadway. So why don't we jump to the last slide there. What's before the subcommittee today is to consider restriping this roadway to eliminate the 3rd vehicle lane and allow parking. And this would not just be for events. This would be on a continuous basis, on a regular basis, just for that stretch. The rest of Niguel, the city's recommendation to this body is that you keep that just for events. There's no reason to put parking permanently on Niguel Road anywhere else that we can come up with. We would also, in the action, suggest we remove existing signage to allow that parking to exist. but also deal with street sweeping, the restriction of on Wednesday from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., having the street restricted for street sweeping, so we get that street nice and clean. And then also consider an overnight restriction from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. to be sure that cars move daily and you don't have cars being left out on that street on a continuous basis. So lastly, that just deals with, on the striping plan, there would be some red curb that would have to be adjusted to allow driveway exiting traffic to be able to see cars coming down Niguel. So with that, I know that's a lot of information and I kind of jumped around a bit, but hopefully that kind of explains why we're here today and what staff's kind of suggestion after a lot of study. I would tell you Laguna Niguel is not objecting to this change at all. OCTA has confirmed that the approval we had in 2017 to stripe that configuration is still good. They verified the data and have sent us an email approval telling us we're clear to proceed. So with that, myself and Shane Green are available for questions. Thank you.
Great. Are there any questions or comments from committee members?
How many spots will there be on Miguel Road?
I cannot believe after I just talked that much, I didn't tell you that. Anyway, it's 32 to 33 parking spots is what's estimated on Niguel Road. Great question, thank you.
So
There was a trolley stop previously there. Is there still a trolley stop, and is there an accommodation for that in this parking?
So the north route runs down Del Avion, turns left on Niguel and heads towards Salt Creek. So the stop's still across the street.
Across the street,
But this
okay.
parking could be used for those users to cross and jump on the trolley.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, I have one quick question on the striping plan that you showed on your slide. Is that the proposed striping plan that you have today?
Yeah, so that, maybe go to the first one. So that's the section right near Monarch Beach Drive. That is the proposed striping. This has been generated so that if we get approval, that would be what we would be striping on the roadway. And I guess so everybody understands what that means, we would go in there, remove the existing striping, existing bike lane and the third lane, re-slurry seal that portion because when we grind that off, the slurry is going to come off the road. Get that nice and dialed in and then restripe on top of the slurry. That would be our plan to make sure that's nice and clear.
Okay, great.
Yeah, question on the overnight parking. That's going to be strictly enforced because having cars hang out there after midnight could be a problem.
So enforcement for the city, it certainly will be on our list of locations that have overnight restrictions, and we will work to make sure that gets enforced. Certainly people can call the sheriff dispatch line and also report that. So I think between the
Okay.
group on Niguel and all of us, I imagine that will be enforced pretty frequently.
Okay.
All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and entertain questions from the public. So I do have several requests to speak. So when I call your name, if you could come up to the microphone, that'd be great. So the first one that I have is Vicky McMurchie. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Rosales, committee members, Director Corey, and city staffers. My name is Vicky McMurchie. I am the Executive Director of the Dana Point Chamber of Commerce, representing more than 400 member businesses. The Dana Point Chamber of Commerce champions business prosperity, economic vitality, and community engagement, promoting a high quality of life in and around destination Dana Point. The Monarch Beach Promenade, located on the corner of Niguel Road and Camino del Avion, is home to a variety of stores, restaurants, a market, financial institution, self-care services, medical facilities, and most recently, a fitness center, attracting hundreds of visitors a day and serving their community with much-needed goods and services. We are delighted to see that these businesses are flourishing after the devastating effects caused by the pandemic over the last 2 years. The parking provided in that shopping center's lot is just not enough to support the patrons and visitors and trolley riders looking to frequent those establishments daily, creating traffic, causing patrons to circle numerous times, and creating backup that spills out to the cross streets and likely the neighboring residential areas. We feel that the option being presented today, eliminating the third northbound lane on Nagel Road and striping the roadway to allow for the addition of approximately 30 parking spots, is an excellent solution to alleviating the issues that have arisen in this shopping center and subsequent consequences it has on daily traffic and residents trying to navigate their way home. As Director Sinicori pointed out, the road usage will not be severely impacted by losing the traffic lane, and speeding through the area will likely be greatly reduced. The proposal today is the safest and most efficient way to address the parking challenges within the shopping center, and we encourage you to adopt the staff recommendation. Thank you.
All right, the next speaker is Beth Oss. Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Beth Oss, and I am a retail store owner in the Monarch Beach Promenade. I'm a tenant there for 7 years. I'm also on the board of the Dana Point Chamber of Commerce, and I've seen our center grow and finally being leased out, and it's been wonderful to see all that. And after COVID, since everything opened back up, the traffic situation and the parking situation has been a very big issue for us. We feel we're losing business. I have customers that call and they circle and circle and can't find a place to park. And they call me and say, Beth, I can't come in and see you. And I know it's for the restaurants at night, we're all experiencing the same thing. And I also am representing the dry cleaners and the nail salon. They couldn't be here today, and the eye doctor. We're all experiencing the same problems, and it's a serious issue for us. I mean, we never had great walk-by traffic before, which we have now, which is awesome. But we're also, I think, losing some business, and so I think opening up and restriping that area is going to be super beneficial for us, and really alleviate quite a bit of that problem with employee parking and for the trolley and just the summer traffic. So we're all in support of that as tenants of the promenade there. So thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Steve Abraham.
Hello, everybody. My name is Steve Abraham. Yeah, I represent Retail Realty Fund and Investors Realty Fund. We're the owners of the shopping center, Monarch Beach Promenade Shopping Center. It's a small shopping center. It's only about 30,000 square feet, so it's parked to code. A lot of times when you have small shopping centers, there just isn't enough parking when the tenants are doing well. We've been very fortunate. We have all local tenants, and they cater to all the local stores, local residents in the area, which is nice. All the residents feel like it's their shopping center. They've survived COVID. They survived all the crazy stuff. And I always usually tell my tenants when they complain about parking, hey, of all the problems you can have, parking problems is one of the least ones to complain about. But when you go to your favorite restaurant, you can't find a parking place. Sometimes you don't come back. And we are trying to do everything we can. And I'm so grateful for everything that the staff, Matt Sinicori, has been doing. Everyone's doing to help us alleviate traffic. Our parking situation. We are adding some employee parking. We're looking at valet parking. We tried some promotions with Uber to offer free Uber rides to the center. So we're very supportive of this. Anything that adds a little more parking, it's just a benefit to the locals in the area to be able to come to their favorite stores. So thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions at all? Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Gerald Molina.
Thank you. My name is Jerry Molina. I've lived at the intersection of Camino del Avion and Niguel for 25 years. I've seen the shopping center in question change, not for the best most of the time. Having received this letter about the proposed changes in the striping and seeing what had happened up the street, or actually towards Stonehill, I always wondered, why was it done? And hearing the reasons for it really didn't make any difference. I didn't see any problems before. I really don't see any problems afterwards. I don't see any difference in traffic collisions. Speeding has always been an issue, still is an issue. We've called the sheriffs many times regarding speeding and other problems, especially associated with the shopping center. But after receiving this letter and seeing what the proposal is, I didn't understand that it had to do with for the most part, overflow from the businesses. I got the impression by seeing this letter, it was specifically for special events. We would assume, talking to our neighbors, that it was mostly from concert series, summer concert series in the parks and all that, where they do park along Miguel Road. But technically, I'm against this. I don't see any information as to how it's going to, you're going to have parking not only before the driveway towards the Monarch Beach Market, but after the driveway, basically on the side of the bank. Is that true?
So at this time, you're just making comments. I'm sure the chair will have me come back and answer your questions.
That's
but-
one of my
yeah,
questions.
okay.
If there's going to be parking after the driveway, right before the bank, right after Monarch Beach Market, before the Delavion Street, that right-hand turn will be an issue. In addition to your proposed 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Parking restrictions. Throughout the whole county, it's usually 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. for overnight parking restrictions. Why 2 a.m. to 4 a.m.? We've had many problems with the businesses. Called the sheriffs many times. Have talked to Kelly Reinders at Assistant City Manager regarding the problems. And I don't see this as helping anything. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Jill Scope. Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Jill Sconiumio, and I'm a resident of Dana Point. I'm in full support of the Niguel Road restriping. I frequently shop, dine, and bank in the shopping center that we're referring to today. Additional parking spaces are desperately needed. It's nearly impossible to find parking at any time of the day that you enter the parking lot. Additional parking would be a tremendous help to all the locals that use the shopping center. It would keep tax dollars in Dana Point. And even with the addition of employee parking, which would be on Camino del Avion, these desperately needed 33 spaces would be wonderful for all those local businesses. Thank you.
All right. Our next speaker is Enzo Thank you. Same, yeah.
Madam Chair, committee members, city staff, thank you for your time. My name is Enzo Scognamiglio. I'm a resident of Dana Point, and I own and operate Brio Restaurant in Dana Point in the center. As everyone said here today, we do have a major problem with parking in the center, but I want to talk about something else. I see on a daily basis, I witness on a daily basis, local people, park in our shopping center and walk to the trail, go to the beach, enjoy our facility and so forth. I think that's some of the opportunity that we have. And frankly, we don't like to tow cars out of the shopping center. We tried every possible way to put signage and plead with people, please don't park here and park somewhere else and walk to the beach. We all enjoy a beautiful lifestyle in Dana Point. We do need desperately parking on Niguel Road. I am in full support, and I'm tired of walking to work. I want to drive my car. Thank you, all of it. Appreciate it.
All right, our next speaker is Marco I'm getting closer.
Good afternoon, committee members, city staff, and guests. I appreciate you all being here. My name is Marco Scognamio. I'm a local resident, business owner. Businesses are on PCH, but that's a different story. And also, I'm a member of the Dana Point Chamber of Commerce. I frequent the shopping center for the various restaurants there. I also bank there. I got Orange Theory there, which is great too. But I frequent the shopping center at least 4 times a week. And the parking situation in there, as you know, has been troublesome. And over the summertime, we often see beachgoers. I think that it's wonderful we have the trolley system that grants local residents to have better access to the local beaches and the city itself. And I think this extra parking would greatly benefit specifically the trolley goers, who I believe in the summertime, which that's kicking off on May 27th, I believe, are going to be quite active going through that shopping center. So as a local resident, I think it would be a wonderful, wonderful solution. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, great. We have no more cards for public comment, so we'll close public comment on this item, and have committee member questions for staff. Director Sinakori, to follow up on Mr. Molina's question, if you could walk us through, maybe on the screen or on the slide with the striping plan, show us where the on-street parking would be proposed and where it would end near the driveways. I think that might be helpful.
So, Mr. Molina, I think your question was primarily right here, right? Okay, so the intention is to put a couple parking spaces in here, but try to leave some space so cars could get out of traffic and kind of make the right turn, give kind of a emerging area for traffic. So it's not to park cars in this whole section, but just this part where you see the striping. Some of that will be red curbed to make sure that's clear.
Great. And then on the other side of the driveway, I see the solid line. So is there some red curb on the other side as well? Or does the parking go all the way to the driveway?
So can everyone see that 100-foot? So there's 100-foot of red curb right here. There's 150 feet of red curb in that section, which is primarily to give drivers the ability to see cars coming when they exit the center. We don't want to create an issue where we put cars all the way up against the center and create a safety issue for exiting traffic. So, and it also gives a place for the cars to merge out of traffic and turn into the center. So the strategy with our traffic engineering team was, I mean, our goal as staff is to try to accommodate all the modes of traffic that we can and make sure the roadway's used to the best capacity possible. Certainly, this is a change, and adding parking to this road is a change. But from a technical standpoint, we think the modes could be better accommodated this way. Parking is possible in the section, and we don't see any safety problems. When we talk about speed on Niguel Road, I mean, certainly having a third lane there so someone could dive past the cars and accelerate creates a much more challenging situation than having two lanes. Certainly, they won't be able to do that anymore. We have noticed a drop in the speed on Niguel with the change. 3 lanes just kind of creates a really significant thoroughfare. And when you don't have the volume to support it, having 3 lanes just makes people go that much faster. So before this, we were seeing speeds well in excess of that 50-mile-an-hour speed limit. And these days, I'm not disagreeing with Mr. Molino that there's people out there that love to go really fast, which we don't necessarily like them very much in our business, but we do our best to try to accommodate all these uses. So hopefully that helps.
Another question to follow up on the overnight parking. So the proposed overnight parking is from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Is that typical time frame for the overnight parking in Dana Point? Or no overnight parking, not 4? Yeah.
It's a really good question. We have a variety of no overnight restrictions. So we have, like up near the Marriott, we're 10 to 6. On Coast Highway, we're 10 to 6. On Del Obispo, we're 2 to 4. And there's some other places where we just kind of have a mixed bag. It's entirely in the discretion of this committee for you to tell us what you think the best equation is for this section. We're not stuck to 2 to 4. We just know that having a no overnight restriction could help address some of the concerns that the adjacent neighborhoods would have with people just parking there for 4 days and going on a trip to Catalina and coming back and getting their car, So it's intended to make sure the cars move, and it address the need in the area for trolley users and the shopping center, but also make sure they just don't store their cars on Niguel Road. So again, entirely in the discretion of this committee.
All right, are there any other questions for staff?
So the 2 a.m. wasn't gotten picked out on as far as the restaurants needing, or
We do close at midnight as a restaurant, and our employees, they stay there until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just curious if the 2 a.m. was because that's when they closed, so they were trying to stay open, keep the parking as late as possible.
Any other questions? All right. Do we have a motion? Maybe if we could pull up the recommendations again, that'd be great.
Yeah, and again, these are subject to input from the committee, but basically, in a nutshell, you're looking to restripe the roadway into the cross section that we showed you in the photo generally, so you see that. Eliminate the no parking signage, add street sweeping restriction signage for Wednesday, 4 to 8 in the morning, and then whatever the committee decides in terms of the overnight restriction that you'd like to see, which we believe is a good strategy for this specific set of parking to make sure traffic moves. Whether it's 2 to 4, or whether it's 1 to 6, whether, whatever you guys decide it is. And then there's adjustments. So authorizing the striping to be done and adjusting the red curb to accommodate that striping plan, which we've shown you on the screen. I know it's really hard to kind of see, but those are kind of the general items that are before you today. So.
Yeah, maybe change it to 1 to 6 a.m. Something. It just seems like we need more. Get people off the street. I don't know.
If I may, there is Project Social, which is a local restaurant right in the corner. They start serving breakfast, I believe, at 6 or 6:30. And I know that they have a lot of employees that need parking as well. So please keep that in consideration. I agree with Director Senatori, 1 to 5 or something like that, as long as that someone can call, get rid of the cars, if any, it will work for everybody. Thank you.
Is there also an intent to add employee parking off of Camino del Avion?
So I'll speak for Steve Abraham and I have been working really closely together. Right now, they're in the process to secure an encroachment permit to build a driveway off of Del Avion to access the dirt pad behind the urgent care, which will add about 17 to 20 parking spaces for only employees. They're well down the road. We had a conference call today just working through some traffic control things associated with that with Laguna Niguel. So I would imagine, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, we're probably 30 to 45 days out from getting that done, if not sooner, to make that a reality for the center, which will add about 17 to 20 employee parking spaces and open that up in the center. We're working closely together to study other options for the center to help the parking problem, because I think everybody realizes that's in this room that we need to continue to work on it. And by doing this doesn't solve all the problems in that shopping center.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, or or a motion?
I'll just thank staff quickly for the review here. It looks like a lot of time was spent on that, and the community for coming out, getting involved. I think road diets, if you want to call this one at a certain level, can sometimes get a bad rap and are sometimes done poorly. But here, I have raced along Niguel, and I think that hopefully this will address some of the concerns we heard about speed on Niguel, actually. I've had trouble parking in the center. I've biked to the center, which was a lot smoother. I've never walked to the center, but I'm a bit far for that. And I think I would support the concept of 2 to 4 as well. I mean, I suppose the concern right there, and I don't want to speak for you, Bob, but maybe it's just that, untoward characters loitering around in the middle of the night might be it.
I look right down the shopping center, my house. I think Jeff does too. We're at Ritz Point, so we see all the action.
Fair enough.
So if there's more cars out there in the street, obviously we know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
But 2 to 4, as long as there's some restriction, I'm good with that.
My preference would be for longer, but certainly not to cause problems for the employees or the folks that are looking to frequent the space, but for no other reason, just to have a longer window for possible enforcement.
Chairman Rosales, if you'd like to consider, based on some of the feedback we've heard from the community today, maybe a 1 to 5 seems like it would still give a little bit longer window to allow enforcement, but also still accomplish the goal for everybody. That might work. So we're happy to amend what's up on the screen and call it 1 to 5 if that meets everybody's expectations.
I worry about, people parking, but it sounds like that's the general consensus, so. Or, sorry, I said the people, I meant did I say the employees? The employees, but, okay.
Well, I'm definitely in support of this striping plan as well, and it was great work, and thank you for all the information. My profession is traffic engineering, and hearing the traffic volumes, this street can support that. It doesn't need 3 lanes northbound. It could actually even get away with one lane, but then you don't get level service A, so you get like a C or even a D. But so yeah, I'm definitely in support of it. We'll still have level service A. Having less number of lanes, it will encourage slower speeds, and then even having just traffic parked on the street tends to slow people down as well. So I'm definitely in support of it. And the overnight restriction of 1 to 5 a.m. Sounds like a good proposal for enforcement. Okay.
Make a motion to approve that for the 1 to 5 restriction.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second that motion.
So maybe just for the record, so I can get the motion for Jamie clear. So the motion on the floor from subcommittee member elders is to approve the restriping of Nagel Road to eliminate the 3rd lane and stripe into the configuration of 2 lanes with a striped gore, a bike lane, and a parking area between Monarch Beach Drive and Camino del Avion. Remove the existing no parking signage. Add signage to restrict that parking, those 30 to 32 spaces on Wednesdays for street sweeping from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. and to restrict overnight parking from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. daily. And we would also be adjusting the red curb on the segment to accommodate the change. Okay. Is that the motion that you've made?
That's the motion.
Okay. And the seconder? Good. Okay. We'll read that back to ourselves, Jamie, later so we could get it all.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Member Bowen? Yes. Member Elders? Yes. Member Howell? Yes. Member Pedersen? Yes. And Chair Rosales?
Yes.
By consensus, this motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
So, Chairman Rosales, if I could just, because I know the question is in everybody's mind, particularly out there, when is this going to be done? And there's no pressure at all on me to accomplish this. So our goal, hopefully, is to have it done sometime in June is the goal. Hopefully sooner. We're certainly going to talk about a schedule now, but we're going to absorb that in our construction project that's in progress right now. I'll get with my construction team in the morning and talk through that. But our goal is to expedite this into the next 30 to 60 day cycle. So.
Great, thank you. All right, the next item is alley south of Doheny Park Road between Domingo and Victoria. If I could request a presentation from staff, from Director Senakori.
I'm going to actually stand because it's easier for me to do this. So the item number 3 is, this is an alley in Doheny Village behind, I don't know how familiar everybody is with Doheny Village, but behind Pepe's Restaurant between Domingo and Victoria, there's an alley back there. There's a good photo of it. It actually, let me back up. So we had a request and a concern from the community down there about speed in this alley because of the uses. So you've got basically a bunch of parking that's angled parking right along the alley, a bunch of uses. You've got an auto mechanic. that actually has his customers step out of a gated area right into the alley constantly all day. There's cars parked out there, so it's a pretty complicated alley. It's not really operating like an alley. It's really operating more like a parking lot. So knowing all of that and having a request, we tried something out there, which was to put in a temporary speed bump and see if it helps with the speed. And it had a pretty dramatic effect in that area. That's where the speed bump was at that time. So our traffic engineering team, that being Shane and his team, studied that long and close. And really what it comes down to is alleys typically operate at 15 to 20 miles an hour when they don't have all these conflicts, right? You don't have all this parking. You don't have a guy walking his customers right into traffic all day long. So based on the conditions, and I guess the reason this is before this body and not something we would just do at the staff level is our policy guidance is really centered around residential streets. We don't, when you've dealt with speed humps, which you just did in December on Camino Cap, it doesn't cover a circumstance like this. So we have to do special studies to investigate the feasibility of doing these things. So in essence, what the traffic engineering team is recommending at this time is that we call this alley what it is, which is a complicated alley that operates like a parking lot. Speeds should really be 5 to 10 miles an hour in there. And in order to accomplish that, we are proposing that a speed hump be added permanently based on the pilot program. And Orange County Fire Authority has no issue. The Sheriff's Department has no issue with enforcement or response times. So all in, I think in your packet, you got a couple letters from the couple of businesses down there that are in support of this. But we don't see any reason why we couldn't support the request with the approval of this subcommittee to install that permanent speed hump. So with that, staff, myself, Shane are available for questions.
All right, any questions from the committee? I have a quick question. So, how much traffic is using that alley? Just curious. It's more of a, like you said, parking lot kind of thing, but curious if you have like a daily volume.
When I drove it this morning, no one was there. I stopped by after dropping the kids off at school, so just to take a look.
Mhm.
Okay, so, excuse me. So we did a daily count. This was back in October 2020. It's under 300 cars. So it's 297 for the day. Obviously, the report talks about the number of cars that were going above the 15 to 20 range and why we're worried and wanting to consider this concept. But it's about, I don't think it's changed since our data collection in 2020. I think generally you'd probably be about 300 cars a day.
Thank you. All right. Do we want to entertain a motion?
Allow staff to do the recommended action.
All right, I'll second. All right. Any other discussion on the item?
Second.
Okay, I'll take the vote. Member Bowen?
Yes.
Member Elders?
Yes.
Member Howell?
Yes.
Member Pedersen?
Yes.
Chair Rosales?
Yes.
By consensus, this motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right. The next item, 3, under staff reports, 2022 trolley route.
All right. So if you can believe it, we're almost in May, which is scary when you think about it. But yeah, the Dana Point trolley's coming back in May. We're excited about these 2 routes that we launched. Finally, we're able to run the full routes in 21, and they worked really well. we used to run, that did not come out right. We used to run one route throughout the whole city. And the problem with that is it created a lot of delay for people that just wanted to get from point A to point B. It didn't give them a lot of options. A lot of people had to go all the way around the city when they really didn't want to. So this opens up a lot of opportunity for people to make transfers and check new things and get to kind of where they want to go quicker. Plus, when we made this change, it also touched a lot more areas of the city. So we were able to expand much wider and cover a much bigger area. So we're happy to report we're going to go back to these two routes. Generally, the north route's in blue on your map. I know a lot of you are familiar with the route. So it starts at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, runs down PCH, goes on to Del Prado, drops down in, kind of heads down towards the row where Stack's Pancake House is and all those businesses down there. Turns into the harbor, runs back up Golden Lantern all the way to Del Avion and over to Niguel, to the area we were just talking about earlier, and then back to the Ritz-Carlton. So generally that's the route for north. South runs a little bit more complicated route, but generally it's running all the way from the San Clemente connection off Camino de Estrella at Camino Miracosta, running all the way down into the Del Prado area, but not without touching Del Obispo, Doheny Village, coming up to the high school up by our office. And I know Chairman Rosales was asking us about the popular stops, which I'll get into shortly and show you where those popular stops are. The stops up here at City Hall have been hugely popular, getting these neighborhoods to be able to jump on the trolley, and whether it's north or south, they're really heavily used. So anyway, that's the route map. We had a meeting today and we're talking about all the signs we have to install, and you'll start seeing those pop up in the city. That should all be in by the middle of May. But if you want to jump to the next slide. So when you look at North Route, the 5 top stops, obviously the Ritz-Carlton stop at Salt Creek is going to be your number one because of all the transfers with Laguna. Laguna Niguel is going to add their route this year for the first time that will also transfer at that stop. You see that N7, which is the stop at Park Lantern and Laguna Cliffs. Maybe you can go back to the map for me real quick, Jamie. One thing that's important about, we did make a change this year. When you think about the Marriott, and I know a lot of you are familiar with that road going up to the Marriott, we were running 2 trolley routes up that road with yoga, with weddings, with all the other activities in that park. It created a lot of problems for not only the users, but just we were a little concerned about the safety of that operation. So we're not going to go up that hill this year. We're going to actually stop on Dana Point Harbor Drive, and the Marriott users will have to come down the hill to get the route. It's going to make for a more efficient trolley operation, but also open some doors from a safety perspective. So that's one change that is being made this year. You can go to the next slide, Jamie. So you'll see Dana Point Harbor Drive and Golden Lantern. Again, really popular stop. A lot of people transfer there as well to the South Route because that's a really big hub for the South Route. You'll see Golden Lantern at Acapulco right there. That's up here at City Hall for the North Route. And then at Del Avion and Golden Lantern, right up here at Ocean Ranch, crazy busy stop up there too, just with all those users capturing the trolley. So those are your top 5 for the North Route. When you look at the South, San Clemente connection is right up at number 1 because of the users there. Olamendi stop at Coast Highway, that's coming northbound coast. That one was really busy. Really close to that is Stonehill and Del Obispo. Again, San Juan transfers right there, and a lot of users in those neighborhoods come down there. But again, look at Dana Point Harbor Drive at Golden Lantern in the harbor. That's going to always be one of your busy areas because everybody kind of comes to the harbor. And then the stop for the South Route up at the Marriott was hugely busy. This year, they'll have to use stop 15, which is at Puerto, and then stop 16 is at the pedestrian bridge on PCH. Those are the 2 stops in that zone that they'll use. So next year, you'll see those stops climb in terms of ridership. But we're excited to launch the program. I think it's going to go gangbusters this year. Our run time, if you can go back to the map, Jamie, is May 27th. That starts Friday. And it ends on Labor Day for the daily service, that, and all the times are there on the daily service. But we will also be running weekends in September going forward as well, because our grant covers that as well. So again, this is primarily grant funded. The city kicks in anywhere from 10 to 20% of the cost, but OCTA is funding the rest through Project V funds. So again, we're very fortunate to OCTA to give us this great program, and we're hoping to run it for many, many years. And I'm available for questions if you have any.
Thank you for the presentation. That was very exciting. I know my neighbors are super excited to ride it again this year. So yeah.
I guess we should say if we don't see traffic subcommittee members on the trolley, we might have to suspend the program. I don't know, something like that. So.
I was curious if there were any changes this year from previous year. Oh, you talked about the one, sorry, at the Marriott, and beyond that one.
Generally, that was the biggest change. We did make one change at stop S3. I don't know. So back to that Doheny Village area, what the trolley used to do, it's kind of hard to see, but it came down Coast Highway. If this is the south route, it would turn on Domingo right by Capo Beach Church and drop right there. We're going to go around that block, come out Victoria, and drop in front of Doheny Car Wash and Pepe's, so that it stops on the main street, not kind of in a back of house location. Just makes a better experience for the user. So other than those two changes, everything else is the same for this year.
And unfortunately, I didn't ride it a whole lot last year, but we did do to the most popular stop to Salt Creek for one of the concerts at the park that was unbelievably slammed. I was just happy we got a trolley home, actually, because actually it didn't do the loop on the drive out. I don't know if it was because it was too busy, but we missed one trolley. I'll talk to that driver.
Sounds good. I think I need to talk to him too, apparently. All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. We can move to the next item. Item 4, bike safety and education.
So Chairwoman Rosales asked me to put this on the agenda just to, I guess, remind the committee that there's a lot of education going with the preponderance of e-bikes out there. I know we have an event coming up at Dan Hills High School in the next week or two that our congressmen are supporting, our council is supporting. So just know there's a lot of bike education out there, and I know a lot of legislation being talked about in response to the e-bike kind of craze and the blow up of e-bikes. I would tell you that for us in the business, Jennifer will tell you the same thing, that it's not just e-bikes. I mean, you got regular bicyclists that create some issues for you out there sometimes. So I know e-bikes are tending to get a lot of attention, but bike education's for everybody. So I know between the sheriff's department and other entities and stakeholders, there's a lot of education going on in the schools and trying to get these kids to really understand what they're using and how fast it goes, because I think they think they're invincible, right, until they hit the ground without a helmet or whatever. So just know that's going on, and hopefully that addresses your concerns.
Any other questions on? Okay. All right. Okay.
Related to biking, well, maybe I'll save this for subcommittee comments as it's not really one of your reports, but I heard that the city might have been receiving some bike funds, bike lane funding. I saw something from Mike Levin's office. They were posting about it.
I can explain that. I can either do it now or later when it's entirely up to you.
Since we're on biking, go
Okay.
ahead now.
Yeah. So Congressman Levin's office, in coordination with our city council, were able to secure about $1.87 million for the connectivity project in Doheny Village. That basically, I wish I had a map. I didn't know it was going to come up. But anyway, what it does, if you're familiar with where the DoubleTree is in town, where the road comes under the tracks and then it kind of cheats out towards Capo Beach on Coast Highway, in that whole area, the project basically is going to create an enhanced pedestrian bicycle experience, adding landscaping, adding lighting, wider trails, dealing with that intersection because it's a little awkward right there. Yeah, that intersection. So, and adding a sidewalk from the Riviera Hotel coming the other direction to get that sidewalk continued to that location. So all in all, that project in coordination with Caltrans, who's building about 2/3 of the project, we're building about 1/3 of it. Those two agencies have all in, we're probably at about $4 million in funding to move the job to construction, which is anticipated to be in fiscal year 23, 24 timeframe. So we're a couple years out, but excited to see that actually be happening. And I think all of you realize we own that vacant lot now, that open space lot at the corner, Doheny Park Road and Coast Highway. So having that in play and getting those enhancements built, it's just going to be a benefit. So anyway, yeah, we're having some issues with trees, but I'm sure you've read about it on social media. So I won't talk about that today.
While you're on the area, the lot got paved. What are you going to use it for? Is that a staging area for the construction?
Yeah, the asphalt in there that we were staging on was getting really beat up by all the activity with all the construction. So we were just sealing up that surface and making it available for staging. But yeah, there's no other use planned for that lot. It does look a little different because everything looks brand new in there.
That's great.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't even realize it was asphalt in there before. I thought it was just dirt.
yeah, that most of it was asphalt. I'd say 90%. You just couldn't see it because it was kind of covered in dirt. So yeah.
Thank you.
Great. And then the item 5 under staff reports is if we could get an update on the Stonehill Drive improvements and schedule as well.
So I don't know if we've talked about this specific item at this committee level. Maybe we have. So when the Ganal project, which everyone sees in construction as you head towards the freeway, that kind of forced some conversations about Stonehill. And we all know Stonehill is very busy. The intersection at Stonehill and Del Obispo is, I'd say, at least in the top 3 intersections in terms of capacity issues. PCH Crown Valley is going to be way up there. And my favorite one, PCH and Del Obispo, probably the busiest intersection in the city at all times. So because of that, we're seeing times when there's capacity problems where the big heavy left turn out of San Juan on Del Obispo, you strand cars. Just this week, started it last week, but we retimed all of Stonehill to add time to those streets. That's still being refined, but we took it from a 120-second cycle to get coordination into 140. We needed more time because we were leaving too many people at these intersections. So what this project does, timing will work for a little while. As traffic builds and continues, we really need to do something on Stonehill to give us more capacity. And the project that's planned is to take the 3rd lane. As you're coming down the hill, you'll see the lane widen at the gas station, turns into a right turn pocket and turns off on Del Obispo. That would be carried forward all the way to where we added the 3rd lane. I don't know if you guys realize, actually you do realize, we added that 3rd lane right at San Juan Creek, heading towards the freeway. It widens out, it would be to connect that lane, make sure the bike lane's there, make sure the parking's retained, all those things in that section. So all in, that job's got a pretty hefty price tag of about 1.6 million or so to get it done. San Juan's partnered with Dana Point to accomplish that. They've contributed about $400,000 to the project. The city of Dana Point would fund the difference. We're hoping to be in design and in construction in the 24, 25 timeframe is the plan, and hopefully just managing that traffic with signal timing for now until we kind of get to that point. But you'll see that project showing up really soon for us to accomplish that. When you think about that street, there's a landscape median with some hardscape, and then there's this big run of trees and parking and all those things. All those things need to be kind of pushed back a little bit to accommodate all the uses and add that 3rd lane. So it'll be a pretty significant project, but we're looking forward to getting it done. So.
Thank you. Okay. All right, now we'll move to subcommittee comments. So, Bob, Jeff, good? Jeff, Luke? All right. Well, thank you, the staff, for all your work and the reports presented today.
Guess maybe before we adjourn, just so I can introduce the team. So Jimmy is our new management analyst in public works. He's going to be helping us with the committee. Jamie Toe, everyone loves Jamie. She does everything around here. She's out of the city manager's office. And then Shane Green, raise your hand in the audience. That's one of our traffic engineering team members. So Shane's really helpful with all these studies and generating these striping plans. So just so the subcommittee can put a face to the names when we throw these names out there. So thank you.
Well, thank you. All right. So maybe we'll take a motion to adjourn, or can I just adjourn it? I can just adjourn it. All right. So we will adjourn the meeting at 5:06. All right.